It concludes news updates here on Morning Live. Well, it is still Women's Month, so we'll be focusing on women's issues still to come. And don't you go anywhere. Selena Johnson and Lyra coming to talk to us about their upcoming concert. But right now, Leanne sitting with a phenomenal young woman, Zama Khanyile. Let's listen to her story. Over to you, Leanne.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks, Sakina. There's lots of beautiful women coming into studio this morning, and we'll be chatting to them about their lives and, more importantly, how they got to where they did. So let's first speak to Zama Khanyile. She's a fund manager at the National Empowerment Fund, or the NEF. She's also in charge of the uMnotho Fund, which funds acquisitions, new ventures and expansions. She leads a team of investment professionals in carrying out the mandate of improving access to capital by availing financial and non-financial support. A chartered accountant by profession, Zama is the president of the African Women Chartered Accountants Forum, with a focus on the advancement of black female chartered accountants. She joins us now for a conversation on her personal journey. Zama, wow, great to have you. Welcome to Morning Live.
Thank you. Good morning, Leanne.
So much. You do so much. It's absolutely incredible. But I suppose we'll get to how you got all of these things on your plate. But let's first get to know a little bit about Zama. I mean, where were you born? What motivated you? And as a young girl?
So I was born in uMlazi. And I started going to school at a primary school called Sawpits, which is in peri-urban Bumbulu, going to a school where there's no running water, you know, the sanitation system is not up to scratch. But my parents always understood the importance of education. Yeah. So instead of having me sit at home, they said, no, go with your mom to work. While she goes and teaches at the school next door, you go and you attend school. So I guess education's always been ingrained in my upbringing, and that is kind of something that has carried me through my life.
So that was the story, is that it didn't matter where you came from. Your parents instilled the importance of education in you, and I suppose that's what motivated you. Did you always want to create a better life for yourself and create a better life for those around you?
Certainly. I mean, I think I look at certain things that changed my life, you know, moving from where we lived and seeing a better area of society. And that's exposure, and that's what we try and create even through the AWCA. Once you know that there's a certain life that exists beyond your existence, then you've got something to strive towards.
Yeah. I mean, you know, you undertook a very difficult career. I mean, when you look at becoming a chartered accountant, for people that even have the basic necessities to go out there and do it, still find it very difficult. But as you explained to us where you came from and where your background was, to come and achieve all of these and to decide to study to be a chartered accountant, what drove you? Because there must have been something that said to Zama, little Zama, numbers, chartered accountant, this is what you need to be in life.
Certainly, Leanne. I think role modeling is so important and visibility is so important. So when I was about 7 years old, we moved to a different part of uMlazi, and in that neighborhood there was a man called Sizwe Nxasana who lived not so far. So having seen him and the esteem that he enjoyed from the community, the person he was, and the life he was able to build with his very successful wife as well, and the family that they had, that was the role modeling that opened my eyes to say, what does this man do to make the difference that he does and be this outstanding person in our community?
And that was where it all began, that passion to want to do it. I love the way you said it was Sizwe first that you looked at, but then you mentioned his wife as well, which was also a powerful woman. And it is important to have powerful women role models, because if you're just looking at men who are making it, then you sort of think, okay, well, that's where they belong. We don't necessarily belong there. But you as a young girl, you already knew, hang on, he's making a difference, I can make a difference. So it wasn't necessarily looking at a man and saying, well, he's doing it, I can't. Why did you think within you that you would be able to achieve this greatness?
I think I just focused on the end goal. And having visibility, once again, seeing people that look like me, that have walked the path, that made it a little bit easier. Yeah. So to say, I won't be the first, I won't be the last to go through the 7-year journey to qualify as a CA. Yes, there'll be difficulties along the way, but certainly other people have made it before me, and there are footsteps that have been set and a path that has been cleared, and I can follow in that trail.
And it's so fantastic to know that you have and you've succeeded at it, because you know, when you still look at the numbers of chartered accountants, particularly black women, they're still far too few. How do you go about influencing these young girls, future leaders that look up to you and say, guys, you can do this, it's important, follow your dreams, follow your heart?
So, I mean, I think it's important to mention where we started. So when the African Women Chartered Accountants Forum was established 17 years ago, there were 407 African Indian coloured female chartered accountants out of a pool of 22,000 CAs. Today, that total pool sits at 45,000, but the African Indian coloured women component is now in upwards of 6,600.
Okay.
So those are the strides that have been made through the AWCA and partner institutions like SABC and AWCA. But what's important is to create awareness of the profession at high school level, and then to support the young girls in their decision to choose this profession. So through the student chapters, we have support systems that respond to them and also start to build leadership at that level. And when they enter the workplace, we've got mentorship support that we offer them. And when then they want to decide, I want to be an entrepreneur, I want to lead in corporate, we've got leadership academy programs that then aim to set them apart from their peers, so that once you've all qualified as CAs as a black female, you've got that extra certification that makes you stand out and makes you more competitive than your peers.
Fantastic. I think that's really great. Now, you're also working obviously within the NEF, and that's empowerment. It's the Empowerment Fund. It's looking at small businesses, helping them. And one of the big things is not everybody is going to be a chartered accountant. Not everybody is going to go that route. However, there are a lot of people, and small businesses in particular, that are just phenomenal at what they do, and yet the opportunities are not there due to the lack of funding. And it's a big problem as a country. Perhaps we don't support small businesses enough and entrepreneurs. What are your views on this?
I think we definitely need to foster and support entrepreneurs. And the problem starts perhaps, or part of the problem is access to finance. But beyond having access to finance, I think small businesses need non-financial support. And that's where entities like the NEF and CEDA come to play and try to support that. Because before you even get to a stage where your business plan is ready to be presented for funding, you need hand-holding most of the time. So we've got a process that assists from a pre-investment perspective to package these transactions, because we fund black people, we understand the history of South Africa, how black people have been marginalized. So you have to do that extra mile to try and make sure that great business concept that's been presented to you can be packaged into something that you can propose an investment into.
Fantastic. Just finally, as we wrap up this conversation, you're 35 years old, right?
Yes, that's
okay,
correct.
You're 35, and I think that's just phenomenal to see what you've already achieved. One of the big issues you also focus on, and I'm glad you do tackle this, is the gender pay gap and getting parity. How far are we away from this? I mean, you're a loud voice and a professional voice in this, and we need to hear voices like you. But talk to us about your fight for that as well.
So I think we need to first be comfortable with the fact that women can be as good leaders as men in the workplace, if not better. So I think that needs to be clear. And so that needs to be reflected in the pay. And if you look globally and in South Africa, you've got a gender pay gap that's in excess of 30%. You're doing exactly the same thing, having the same outputs measured on the same KPAs, but somehow there's that disparity when it comes to pay for other reasons. So, but I think we do need men as allies, right? Because who's making these decisions? And I think we then need to make sure that the corporates need to have a social responsibility to their key stakeholders, their employees, and be open about what is the gap in each grade between the average female and the average male. I think once you start exposing it, then you start to have the right discussion, because right now you can't really bring it to the fore because it's not something that's easily accessible or reported on.
And what's more important, thank you so much for talking to us, but what's more important as women, we need to walk into a job interview, we need to understand that we deserve that, because I think once you get that in your mind, that we do deserve it, then you'll bridge that gap in the first place. Because
Yes.
if you don't believe in it, then it'll never happen. Congratulations, and thank you so much for coming to talk to us. I'm glad we could chat to Zama Khanyile, a chartered accountant who's a fund manager at the National Empowerment Fund, and done incredible stuff. Selected as one of the top 35 CAs under 35 by the South African Institute of Chartered Accountants, and Mail and Guardian this year recognized her as one of the 200 young South Africans to watch. So congratulations, and again, keep up the stellar work that you're doing. Let's take a break.